and politics. And now, from the Breakfast Club, it's Marcus Davis.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome to Fish, Grits, and Politics, the first one of 2019. I want to thank y'all for joining us on this lovely evening. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you today. We're coming to you live from the Breakfast Club in Houston, Texas, and we've got something special in store for you on today. In this season of newness, we want to talk tonight about renewal, restoration, and resolve, but not just for yourself, but for those that are around you, how you can better yourself and have an impact on your community. For those of you who are watching by Facebook, thank you for joining us, and I want to invite you to share this with your friends, your family, your loved ones, even the ones you don't like. And don't forget the hashtag Fish, Grits, and Politics. That is Politics with a K. We've got a great show, as I stated. Our guests today include Dr. Napoleon Higgins, author of Mind Matters, and we've also got Denise Hamilton. She is the CEO and founder of WatchHerWork.com. And the lyrical genius is here to spit some rhymes like Dylon, Dylon, Dylon. We've got the Outspoken Bean. And cooking up the goodness, the greatness in the kitchen is Super Chef Don Burrell. We want to shout out to our sponsors, Ron Carter Cadillac and the City of Houston Health Department. So if you're ready, and I'm ready, and they're ready, let's eat!
Fish, grits, and politics sure sound good to me. We can still break bread together even if you don't really agree. Oh, yes. So come on in and take a seat. Oh, yes. Sit back and grab something to eat. Oh, yes. Listen up, we got something to teach. Marcus is gonna blow your mind. Fish, grits, and politics sure sound good to me. Fish, grits, and politics. Come in, I'm sure you'll agree. Oh, yes.
Welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm your host, Marcus Davis. For those of you who are watching by Facebook, I want to make sure that you share this hashtag Fish, Grits, and Politics, Politics with a K. As I stated earlier, 20% of the people are successful in accomplishing this goal that they set out at the beginning of the year. Well, tonight, I want to go on a journey beyond just that simple habit, a journey beyond the simple tradition of writing down your list and trying to honor and adhere to it. I want to dig into how that 20% accomplish it, strengthening your mind, your soul, and your spirit, and watching everything else fall into place after that. Here to help me do this are two guests, two people that I think are very, very smart, because I couldn't tell you how to do it, so I invited them to tell you how to do it. Dr. Napoleon Higgins, author of Mind Matters, and Denise Hamilton, the CEO and founder of WatchHerWork.com. All right, before we jump in with them, got something I want y'all to take a look at.
Oh, no, 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 no. Keep your New Year's resolution to yourself. Keep your New Year's resolution to yourself. When I see somebody touching on you, when you said that y'all was through, when I see you eating on some food that you know's no good for you, when I see you sleeping in from church, when you said your soul was hurt, you don't need to tell nobody what you've been doing and what plans you're making, because all you're doing is giving your haters some more ammunition for hating. Ooh. Keep your New Year's resolution to yourself. Yeah, 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 yeah.
All right, we want to thank Phil Wade for that comic relief regarding New Year's resolution. As I stated before, our goal tonight is to journey far beyond simple habits, far beyond traditions, far beyond this regular routine of every year I want to start something new, I want to begin something new. And as I stated earlier, 20% of the people are successful at it. Tonight our goal, our aim, our mission is to tap into tips on how we can expand that number or be in that number. So I want to thank Dr. Napoleon Higgins, author of Mind Matters, for joining us. And I also want to thank you, Denise, the CEO of WatchHerWork.com, for joining us as well. Welcome to Fish, Grits, and Politics. So let's jump right into it. We know the habit, the ritual, the routine. End of December, beginning of January, folks start contemplating on how they can be better. And we set these goals that we strive to achieve, and quite frankly, a few are successful, but many are not. And so to me, it's as though it's more than just goal setting, but it's a mindset that has to be in place. So I want to talk about how do we build a better mind, how do we build a better will in order to attain and achieve the things that we want to achieve. I'll start with you.
You know, I think that when you talk about goal setting, you talk about the things you're trying to accomplish, the first thing that we have to understand is that changing, any kind of change, is a violent act. It's not passive. It's a violent, aggressive act. If you think of your body, if you are cold, what does your body do? You shiver, right? If you're hot, what does your body do? You sweat. Because your body is trying to keep you regular. Remember homeostasis from biology? Everybody remember that?
A little bit. I remember it a little bit.
Homeostasis
that was right before I got kicked out of class. Go ahead.
is the function in our body that keeps us at average, right?
Right.
Keeps us normal. Well, your lives are built on ecosystems that are trying to keep you normal, trying to keep you regular. So when you're trying to leave regular, that's a violent, aggressive act. And there are systems that are set up to stop you. That system may be your mom and dad saying, you can't do it, don't quit that good job, right. You know, don't leave that, I know he hit you, but it's hard to find a man out here. Like, it may be the people that love you the most that keep you regular when you're trying to make an aggressive change.
You know, I'm grateful for a gentleman that entered my life and presented me with a book that dealt with that concept. It's called The Dream Giver by Bruce Wilkinson. Mm-hmm. And in it, it's this guy who lives in a town called, I think, Anywhere or Nowhere, and his name is Nobody. Mm-hmm. And it gives all of these circumstances where they're trying to just keep you regular, simply because you're afraid to go beyond the boundaries of what you're familiar with and accustomed to. And yeah, it did say even your mom and daddy might be the ones that want to keep you there. Dr. Higgins, you're a psychiatrist. You deal with the mental state. You deal with the mind. Let's take it from that standpoint on how we strengthen this muscle. I liken this premise or this concept to the body, right? In order to build physical strength, I've got to hit the gym, which I'm supposed to go to after we're done. Y'all pray, and I may make it. And in order to get stronger, I've got to lift weight. I've got to work out. I've got to exercise. What are some things that we can do to strengthen this muscle? Our mind, our mentality, to be stronger when it comes to setting goals and accomplishing them?
Well, you know, what I would lead from is the thought about your parents and how your parents may be holding you back. As we discussed, homeostasis, and that your parents don't want you to see you get hurt. Your parents don't want to see you make a misstep. Your parents don't want to watch you fall down and not make it and not attain your goals. So the thought is, I need to keep you close to me so that you don't get hurt by this violent world. And when you're doing things that we've never seen before and things that we don't know of and that we cannot protect you from. Well, when you're looking at the individual person, really you have to look at the person's ground game. All right. So often we think about the big things that we need to do, but we don't look at the little things that we need to do. In order to have this building, in order to have this floor, these lights, this plumbing, and all this structure, you've got to have the foundation right. All right. If the foundation is not right, you cannot build the building on top of it, or if you do, it's going to crumble. So what you really have to pay attention to is your first thing I would say is get adequate sleep. You cannot have a fully functioning mind if you don't have adequate sleep. So with that comes, just like your computer needs to reboot and your phone needs to reboot, the human brain requires a 7 to 8 hour reboot in order for it to function at its normal state. If not, same thing happens like if you're working on your phone. The numbers don't work. It won't pick up reception. You cannot download information and material. It cannot grow.
Does that include, because I must confess, you know, being a workaholic, my sleep time is short. But I do realize that there are times that I need to reboot. My reboot includes getting away going and doing something that I find productive, that I find positive, that strengthens me. When we talk about exercises, I believe in the practice of meditation. I believe it is a mental strengthening exercise. I believe in practicing yoga. I believe getting into a mental state that helps me to become a better person. You mentioned building a foundation, and you and I talked a little bit about what that foundation is about. You can sit down and write out 1 through 10, but if it's not rooted in something bigger than that piece of paper that it's written on, then it's just going to be a piece of paper that's written on. So what is that something bigger?
I mean, you have to start with what your why is, right? If you don't have a why, you're not going to figure out the how. Right. And very often we set these goals that are very positive. They're great goals. And we have the best of intentions. But the reality is that you probably need to make, as much as you're making this list of this to-do list, you need to make a not to-do list. Whoa. You have to figure out what you need to remove. If I say I want to get up early and go to the gym, and that's I'm going to go 3 days a week. I'm going to get up at 5 o'clock, and I have the best intentions, but if I stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning on Facebook, if I'm, Netflixing and chilling.
She convicted somebody out there.
Until 1 or 30.
I heard an amen out there. Go ahead.
Then I'm not going to be able to do that great, positive, wonderful thing. And I don't know that we put the time in on what our not to-dos are. Right. What you're willing to give up, what you're willing to remove in order to achieve that good thing. I have a million different great opportunities that are in front of me. You have a million different things you could be doing tonight. You set your intention, I'm going to do fish, grits, and politics. That means you can't be someplace else today. That means there's things you have to turn down. That means you have to strengthen your no muscle. So you want to say yes to yourself, you got to say no to everybody else.
Make a to-do list.
Make a not to-do
list. You started talking about getting enough sleep in order to be prepared to reset. What else is it that can be done that would better us in the new year, a new life, living our best life?
I would say we've got to work on our sleep, but also we have to work on our eating habits and what we put inside of our bodies. The fact is that you cannot run a car on bad fuel. You cannot run a car on no fuel. So the point is that you've got to put the right foods in your bodies. And I'm a person who had really bad eating habits. Where I would put in the wrong foods, but then you get the wrong output.
Yeah, but we gotta deal with that. I mean, there are a lot of people that say I want to eat better, or I don't want to eat the food. But how do you get there? I am certain that December heard a whole lot of promises. And the beginning of January had a whole lot of promises, right? Can I get a witness? Yeah. Had a whole lot of promises that I'm going to eat better. But there's something that's an inhibitor, that's a barrier to folks getting there. What is that mental barrier and how do you break through it?
Unwillingness to change your habits. So far as in order for a person to go from 300 pounds to 165, everything has to change about them. So how you wake up, what you do, how you prepare yourself, how you prepare your food, how do you get your kids ready to go to school, going to work, getting your workout clothes, making sure that you're ready to set that inside the schedule. Because a lot of people want things, but they're not willing to change anything. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And you've got to figure out where do you start on that particular elephant. But in order to eat that elephant, everything has to change. And so often people are unwilling to change. They have the desire, but they don't have the motivation to do anything different. And if you do have the motivation to do it, then what is your plan so that you can be committed to it? You cannot have it. The fact is that you cannot have it all. You cannot stay up all night and eat real bad, not drink any water, do not get any sleep, have bad relationships, and all of that, and believe that everything else is going to change. I tell people, if you're planning on losing over 200 pounds, I can guarantee you all your friends will change. All of them. All of them will change. And the willingness to give them up.
Now, let's deal with that, right? Because in this, on the video, it said, keep your resolution to yourself. And I've watched a lot of people who will keep their goal, their drive, their ambition, their hopes to themselves. And me personally, and this may not apply to you, but me personally, I believe that's a cop-out because you don't want to be held accountable for what you're doing. I believe me personally, I believe if you are up to doing something, you have to confess it. You have to put it out in the environment. You have to put it out in the atmosphere. And yes, you got to put it in the heads of people who are around you, who will say, hey, bro, I told you, or you told me you wanted to do X, Y, and Z. What you waiting for? You talked about change. How do we get to that point where we're okay with changing that environment?
I mean,
because it's hard.
And it's expensive. You either want it or you don't.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's really what it all comes down to. All of these changes require an investment. And it may be losing a friend. It may be losing a mate. It might be changing jobs. It may be giving up your excuses. Excuses are warm and cozy. They keep us warm. They keep us, I mean, you know, like if it's everyone else's fault that I'm in this condition, then I can stay, you know, righteous, right? But when I turn the camera around and I'm like, wait, where are my fingerprints? What am I doing that is causing this challenge? And what am I willing to pay? That it's just like anything else. You get what you pay for. You have exactly the life you have negotiated for yourself. You have exactly the life you deserve. So if you want something else, you have to negotiate something different. And are you willing to pay that price?
Wow. Y'all willing to pay that price? Yeah. Look, we're going to take a quick break because I smell something cooking over there. We're gonna get to that good food in just a minute. We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna talk about being our best self, but then being our best self in a way that it allows us to be better to other people and create an opportunity for them to be better people as well. I want to give a shout out to Tony Antonio Mason. Y'all get up for Antonio. Tony is the recipient of some fish and grits. He gets a gift card to the Breakfast Club for willingly sharing our Fish, Grits, and Politics page. If you want to get some of those grits too, I invite you to click and like and share and all that other good stuff. All right, we got audience. Those of you that came to join us in studio, we got some gift cards for y'all too. All right, so y'all stay tuned. We'll be back with Fish, Grits, and Politics in just a moment.
Come see me, Keith Burrell, the Cadillac Man, 2 minutes south of the Beltway 8, at Ron Carter Cadillac Clear Lake. Call me, Keith Brown, at 1-800-NEW-CADDY. 1-800-NEW-CADDY. Shop, click, drive, RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service, striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
All right, welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm your host, Marcus Davis. Thank you all for joining us. I want to give it up for our lovely studio audience. Y'all look lovely. Y'all give it up for yourselves. I would have gave myself a standing ovation if I was me. But nonetheless, we've been joined in studio. We're talking about being the best we can be in the 1-9. We're trying to take a journey beyond just this sitting down with pen and paper and writing out a few items and working on them diligently for about 30 days, 45 days, 60 days. Then after 90 days, we want to go beyond that and understand how the mind can be stronger, the soul, the spirit can be stronger, can be better in order to provide better results. Now, I want to jump into this idea that the why. I want to go back to your why. And I believe that a lot of what we aspire to do, the goals that we set, quite a bit of it comes from the desire for acceptance. And acceptance is a beauty and a beast, right? Because you got the healthy part of self-acceptance and you got the healthy part of environmental acceptance. Then you got dependency, right? So let's talk about, and when I say I believe people want, you want to set the goal of losing weight because of how you appear, right? To yourself and how you appear to others. You want to get the good job so you can get some of the things that you like to indulge in, but also how you look and feel when you're indulging in those things. So let's talk about the beauty and the beast of acceptance.
Well, realize that too often people lie to themselves like they don't feel as if they need to be accepted, or I'm fine all by myself. And they'll say that with their friend, and their friend will say, girl, I feel the same way. I don't need nobody. And then they talk to their homeboy over here. No, I don't feel like I need to impress anybody myself. But you all are working as a group saying that together.
You're getting acceptance in your non-acceptance speech.
Exactly.
Right? Got it.
Exactly.
Got it.
So you've got to pay attention to, if you want to be in a certain place, then you need to establish the friendships and the relationships that will get you to where you're trying to go. I tell people they're like masses of a big planet, and then there are things that orbit around the planet, like satellites and things of that sort. And if you find yourself in the middle of a situation where you're around people who are not where you're going or not where you're trying to go, then you need to move and change what you're doing, because you want to you want to accept yourself, so you've got to put yourself in acceptable circumstances. Yeah. So I tell people, you always have to look at who is around you, because that tells you who you are. If I look on your Facebook page and I see certain behaviors, I can tell you what your profession is, who your friends are, about how old you are, what area of town you live in, what school you went to, simply by looking at who's accepted you.
I'm blocking you right now.
Yeah. Well, you might.
Denise, you heard what Dr. Higgins said, and you've mentioned this idea of changing your environment, right? And it's so unfortunate that there are times that that we hear from people who are around people who have gained some success or trying to, and we hear that phrase, "You change," and we cringe at it, right? As though it's something bad. When our response, I believe, should be yes. And I'm wanting you to be grateful for me, and I'm hopeful that you are willing to make some changes in your life as well.
Absolutely. I mean, remember middle school, the worst thing you could be was conceited. Who do you think you are? Who is she? She thinks she all that. That was a really intense criticism, right? And it's really funny. Like, I want to be great. Yeah. I want to be extraordinary. I'm looking forward to leaving some folks behind. Right? And it's hard to say that. We don't say that out loud. We want to take everybody with us. Everybody isn't focused. Everybody isn't driven. Everybody isn't committed to their best life. And so you've got to decide, do you want friends or do you want a future? Right? And so I think that it's really...
Give it up.
Amen. In my work, I work with a lot of executive women, and one of the things I tell them is stop asking amateurs for expert testimony, right? If Lisa works at the Five and Dime, she cannot help you negotiate severance. She does not know. Right. If Lisa doesn't have a husband, stop asking her for marital advice. She can't help you, right? But we go to the familiar, easy fountains, right? Because those are the places that are easy to get information from. You have to challenge yourself, and you have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. You have to pursue discomfort. How do you strengthen a muscle? You tear it. That's what working out is. It's tearing those muscle fibers to strengthen it and make it better. But we are addicted to comfort. And that addiction is keeping us from being great. So you have to decide, like, what am I ready to release in order to be the best, most incredible person I can be?
Let the church say, what am I willing to let go of? Amen. What am I willing to let go of? So we're talking about being our best selves. We're talking about how we can be the best that we could possibly be, gaining mental strength, spiritual strength, emotional strength, in order to be the best Marcus, the best Napoleon, the best Denise. We're living in a very, very hostile time. We are living in a place of divisiveness that is brought on by a heightened sense of race, a heightened sense of gender, a heightened sense of politics and religion. How do we operate in those waters, being our best self and being infectious enough to cause others to be their best selves?
Well, what I would say is that you've got to always have to take a good self-assessment of who you are and what space that you're in. Understanding that, like we said, you have to watch who are those who are around you. And then also you've got to change and take out negative thoughts and attitudes towards yourself and about yourself. Too often, you know, we take that self-assessment and we will look at what we don't have and then what others do have. But if you find, what you'll find is that if you are a positive person and you do positive things and you make positive statements, others around you will do the same thing. And if they don't, and they're not about the positive, then you've got to move and find a different set of people and friends. Yeah. I don't need my negative to talk about how bad my day was, and then you talk about how bad your day was, and we're sucking the energy out of ourselves. Realize that you have people in your life who are vampires, who will suck the life blood out of you if you allow them to continue to do that. So some people, you can't change them. You can't work to change them. You've got to change your mindset and change the set of circumstances that you're around. If I am 300 pounds and I want to get down to 165, then if I'm around other 300-pound people, they've got to be of the same mindset that we're working to get down to 165. If that's not the case, change those friends, and you may need to make friends with people who weigh 165. Yeah. So the fact is that you want to say those positive things, because if you're trying to lose weight, and they're always talking about the negative, girl, there ain't no reason to try to lose weight. Man, I don't like lifting weights like that. I'd rather sit back, watch the game, watch Alabama get beat out of, and all those type of things. Give me my boo. Wasn't that ugly?
Stayed on the tide.
Yeah, but it was amazing to see a powerhouse break.
Yeah.
And how that attitude changed throughout the entire field. When that first pick six was thrown, everybody was all right. But then you saw the demeanor not only of the players, you saw the demeanor of the coach, and you saw the demeanor of the play calling. Yeah. Everything crashed all at once. So the point is, you've got to keep that positive energy, get the negativity away, and it becomes infectious when you find those others who are willing to be positive with you.
Two things. When you're talking about the gym, I can relate because, you know, people walk up to me in the gym all the time saying, man, your guns are just off the chain. How can I?
They do that?
I mean, it happens all the time.
All the time.
So I get it.
Regularly. Right.
Hey, that wasn't a joke. I'm going to tell a joke. Y'all supposed to laugh at the joke.
That's positive thinking. That's positive thinking.
But I do want to talk about this idea of celebrating what you have accomplished, right? Because it's one thing for you to say, I intended to do this and I didn't make it. And because you talked about negative talk. And it's common for you to bash yourself for what you did not do. And I'm not saying don't be honest with yourself about what you didn't do, but you also have to be honest with yourself about what you did do.
Yeah. You know, I think that this is the best time of year and the worst time of year. It's the best because it's about renewal and positivity, but it's the worst because we spend a lot of energy saying what's wrong with us. I got to fix this. This is broken. This isn't going right. This is terrible. And I have a principle in my life. I call it the Michael Jordan principle. The best basketball player in the world wants to play baseball. People that can sing want to dance. People that can write want to be able to climb. Everybody values the gifts and the talents that other people have. Right. And I want to challenge you. You want to make this year an amazing year? Write down your magic. Capture and define your magic and protect it. Right? Last year, you did some amazing things. Did you write those down? That's what you're going to build on. You're not going to change the world by fixing your weaknesses. It's going to be by strengthening your power. The thing that is amazing about you, your gifts. If you sow into those things and multiply them, that's how you're going to change the world. That's how you're going to be extraordinary. I don't sit around and spend a lot of time trying to be organized. I pay somebody to help me be organized.
Man, because I tell my team, I said I love organization. It ain't me.
Right.
It's one of y'all.
Right. Because I know that's not my gift.
I love and need organization.
Right.
Yeah.
I know that's not my gift, but I have other gifts.
Right.
And it's my job to max them out, to take them to the nth degree. And I think we think I guess every day when I approach my day, I think I got 100 pennies in my hand. I only have 100 to change today and to make it something special. I'm going to waste 20 picking 5 different outfits. Oh, I look fat in this. I don't look good in that. I'm going to waste it in traffic. I'm going to spend it with gossip. No, I'm trying to keep every penny so I can achieve my dreams. I'm not trying to waste them anywhere. So I believe really powerfully that it's important to protect your magic. to identify it, to name it, to confidently state it. You're not conceited. If you are good at that, say you are good at that and claim it, right? And magnify it, maximize it. Don't waste your energy on weaknesses. Don't do it.
You only start the day with so much energy.
That's it.
And as you were talking about in the penny analogy, you only start with so much.
That's it.
And it's completely your choice where you distribute the energy. And once it's gone, it's gone. You talked about people around you, right? There's a psychological term that has to do with when you smile, the person, something's released in the brain where the person in front of you instinctively smiles back.
Yes.
What mirror sensors, is that what it is?
We mirror. You mirror the behavior of the person around you. Realizing that, oddly enough, if they're not smiling, you can purposely smile to get them to smile.
Right.
You smile, they smile, now y'all are having a good time, even though they came in with a completely different type of attitude when they walked up to you. Realizing that we are social creatures, we're infectious. So essentially, if I yawn, somebody else is going to yawn inside the room. We're going to mimic each other's behavior. As we sit here, we're all leaning to the one side of the chair. It's just what we do,
right.
and that's part of just passing along information. But also, I would say we have to look at who we, like we were saying, who we are and what we do well. The fact is that you've got to be real about who you are. If you're saying that I want to play basketball like Michael Jordan, knowing that I'm now in my mid-40s, chances are that is not about to happen.
Right.
Now, if I love to play basketball, I can become a better basketball player, and I can hoop at the park and with family members and cousins and things of that sort. If you want to look nice and cute like Halle Berry, all right, and pretty, and have her career, then do you act, all right, and realize that you don't have those personal attributes. But if you love to act, well, the fact is that you can find local theaters, things of that sort, where people are looking for actors. So too often, I think that we want goals that are not attainable for ourselves, not focusing on exactly as we said, not looking at the things that we actually do well.
Being honest with ourselves.
Yes. So if
but
you are
being honest with ourselves and being completely honest with ourselves.
Yes, but I do want to be
confessing our W's.
Yep.
Right, but being completely honest to know what is within our capability.
Yes.
Right. What's in the real world. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna pick up on more of this, but I can't operate right now because I smell this food over there. I hear the crackling of the fish in the skillet. We got Chef Don, who is over there cooking up some greatness, some goodness. Got our vittles going, and we're gonna go take a break. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Chef Don about what she's cooking up and what she's got going on. Thank y'all for tuning in to Fish, Grits, and Politics. Like, share, Fish, Grits, and Politics, hashtag Politics with a K. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back with you.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
Come see me, Keith Brown, the Cadillac Man, 2 minutes south of the Beltway 8, at Ron Carter Cadillac Clear Lake. Call me, Keith Brown, at 1-800-NEW-CADDY. 1-800-NEW-CADDY. Shop, click, drive, RonCarterCadillac.com.
Breakfast Club, America's best breakfast. All right, welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm your host, Marcus Davis. We want to thank Denise Hamilton and Dr. Napolean Higgins for the great words of wisdom that they shared with us about being our best selves in 2019. We're going to get back to that conversation after we get to these vittles. You may have seen her on Chopped. You may have seen her on Cutthroat. Or if you've been to Houston and been to Culture and Urban Comprehension, you may have seen her there where she's the executive chef. Give it up for Chef Dawn Burrell. All right, Chef Dawn, welcome to Fish, Grits, and Politics.
Thank you, thank you.
We got some good grub going on. What we got?
That's right. So, today's theme is, betterment of yourself in 2019.
That is, yes.
So I decided to share with you how to eat good food and eat well at the same time.
Yeah, because sometimes we think if we're going to eat healthy, then it doesn't taste good, right?
Exactly.
Am I right? Am I telling the truth? Sometimes we believe that eating healthy doesn't mean good flavor. So we've got some good food with some good flavor.
Exactly.
What are we cooking today?
So we have a pancier bronzino with a multi-grain and roasted beet salad. And I made a peanut granola spiced with Berber to go on it. So to add some texture and a little bit and a lot of flavor.
Yeah, does that sound good? Yeah. Does that smell good? Yeah. Man, let's get to it. Tell me what I can do.
So what I have going right now is I'm pan-searing the fish, making sure that it's super crispy because texture is everything when it comes to fish skin. And so that's getting nice and crispy on this side. Here, I want the grain salad to be warm, so I'm just warming the grains through, and I'm tossing a little bit of olive oil, which is heart healthy fat, right? And then I made a preserved lemon vinaigrette, so we're going to toss it into the bowl, and that's what you're going to do.
All right, what kind of grains?
The grains are einkorn, which is one of the original grains of wheat berry, and millet, which is derived in Africa and super rich in nutrients, and pearl barley. So the different mixtures of flavor and texture are going into the salad.
All right, let's get cooking.
All right, so this is heating through. You're just going to toss this into the bowl and then put your salad dressing on top of it.
All right, y'all want to see my skills? Y'all want to see?
Oh, yeah, look at that toss.
Oh, y'all wasn't ready. Y'all wasn't ready. Y'all wasn't ready. All right.
And then I start with the light beets as well. I mean, we'll save those for last because those are raw.
All right, we're going
to we'll put those in there.
Y'all eat beets? You got it. I saw you. I saw
them.
Yeah, I saw that. We're going to eat some beets
But these
today.
are really good. These are, trust me. And then preserved lemon vinaigrette.
What's in the lemon vinaigrette?
I have preserved lemons that we preserve in-house. And olive oil, thyme, shallots, and a little bit of garlic.
All right, what's next?
And then we'll put the mint in there. I also have some shallots, some pickled shallots to add a little bit more flavor.
All right, here we go. Got some pickled shallots.
Yes.
I'm going to eat one of those.
And along with the theme, I also am going to put a little bit of chow chow in there. We make this in-house.
Now, what is chow chow?
Chow chow is a fermented relish. And we make ours out of collard green stems because we serve a lot of collard greens at the restaurant. We have all these stems left over. So this is what I do with it.
So you can take collard green stems and make chow chow out of it?
Yes.
All right,
yes, you can.
waste not, want
waste
not.
Waste not, want not.
All right, we're putting this inside of here?
Yes.
All right, here we go. I'm going to taste a little bit of that one, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, what else?
All right, so you'll mix all that together. You have your spoon right here.
All right.
And I saved the really deeply colored beets for last because, they're going to stain the whole salad. Here, it's important to also, in your salad, have some raw vegetables as well. So I have some shaved beets that are raw and also have some frilly mustards, which add a little bit of bitterness and complexity to the salad itself.
Do y'all feel healthy right now? I mean, no, I just feel a little, I just gained a little muscle right there. All right, put these in there.
All
right, here we go. They're going to be asking me about my guns at the gym tonight, I'm saying. All right, what else?
And that's pretty much, it will finish with these once you're all mixed in.
Right.
Make sure that these don't get too wilted in the salad.
Got it.
Did you put some salt?
Of course.
Maybe a little bit of olive oil, a little bit more olive oil to finish. Oh, Salt Bay. And here's a little bit of pepper.
A little bit of pepper. All right, here we go. How many cooks we got out there?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go. All right.
And here is the savory granola I was telling you about. I know you'll like this. It has peanuts, some of the same grains that you see in the salad, and and some Berber spice that we make in-house.
Now,
Berber
what is Berber spice?
It's an Ethiopian spice that has fenugreek, cumin, coriander, and also garlic powder, onion powder, and salt.
What's next?
And then we're going to finish the fish right here, and that's pretty much the end of the dish.
All right, so we've got our salad.
Yes.
We've got our fish going. If you want to see Chef Don, you check her out. You on Instagram?
I am. Chef Don Burrell.
Chef Don
is
Burrell.
my handle.
Follow her on Instagram. One day we're going to have a long conversation with Chef, because this is her second life. This is her second career. Chef Don is also an Olympian. Before she got in the kitchen, she was jumping hurdles and long jumping
And
all that good stuff.
Playing in the sand.
Yeah, all of that.
So this eating healthy or with a purpose, I like to say, is second nature to me, because I had to nourish my body in order to ask it to achieve certain things in life. And so that meant that I was eating my proteins, I was eating well balanced. And I also ate, my burgers and my fries and things like that. But mostly I enjoyed like nourishing my body to get it to do the next level things.
Now, at your current role as executive chef at Culture, you are taking what Grandma gave you,
yes,
and combining it with your culinary training.
Exactly. So we like to say that we're doing modern Southern cuisine or Southern cuisine elevated and reimagined.
Right.
And so that's pretty much how we like to say it.
And that's good stuff. So she took Grandma's green and put it in like a little braised leaf, right? And collard green purses. It's still Grandma's greens. They're just cute with a little bow on it, right?
Exactly.
All right. Hey, we're gonna talk more about the food. We're gonna eat some of the food. Well, y'all not. I'm sorry. Maybe next time. I don't know. But while we are getting ready for our fellowship, and I thank you for providing the food for the fellowship.
Oh, yeah.
Fellowship is the segment where we enjoy the delicious food that the chef has prepared, as well as pick up on our conversation with our guests, Dr. Higgins and Denise Hamilton. And so we're going to take a break. But before we do that, next up, coming up, is the Outspoken Bean. Y'all give it up.
Come see me, Keith Brown, the Cadillac Man, 2 minutes south of the Beltway 8, at Ron Carter Cadillac Clear Lake. Call me, Keith Brown, at 1-800-NEW-CADDY. 1-800-NEW-CADDY. Shop, click, drive, RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service, striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
All right, welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. Here to spit lyrics better than all 5 of the Dylons is the Outspoken Bean. Give it up.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. A friend of mine once said, home is where the H is. And I wonder, what else could the H of H-Town stand for? Let's be coarse. The only thing humble about Houston is 59 North. It takes a lot for us to be sold, and we're from a city that produced oil and Beyonce, both of which are black gold. Hustle town, hometown, hurricanes are nothing more than visitors. Like the rest of the world, they watch us wade in waters, never waiting in waters in humid town. It's difficult to breathe, but thick air for a forest forces roots to run deep. Simultaneously, we're a bayou and space city. For a Texan, the unattainable is only within a rocket's reach. What does the H of H-Town stand for? Honest? Heist? Hughes? Yeah, we all have a little Howard in us. As Howard as fly as an aviator. While walking on the cloud, each step made by our feet is planting a watering seed with the tightrope underneath. This is the difference between sowing and keeping, sowing and reaping. We experience the worst that Mother Nature gave us, and reservoirs are reminders to us that we are the only ones that can save us. Even if there's boulders in your creek and you find yourself traveling upstream, you have to find your use. Broken paddles and holes in boats are no excuse, because us Houstonians, we're a part of a third coast choirs. Linked arms and locked hands reliant on one another, and there's not enough power within you to ignite Sugarland at night and for it to look like it's broad day. But oddly enough, there's not enough power in any of us to keep these mosquitoes away. When I ask you, what does the H stand for? Maybe it's because the H is the only letter where there's an actual bridge to objects standing alone and reaching out to come together, especially over fish, grits, and politics. The H of H-Town is harmony hovering over and around all of her hues. We are a whole people, never a whole people, standing in for many but never standing on, outstretching our hearts like it's Marley. But what the H does not stand for is Harvey.
Welcome back to Fish, Grits, and Politics. I'm your host, Marcus Davis. I want to thank y'all for joining us. I also want to thank the lyrical genius, the Outspoken Bean. Y'all give it up for I want to thank Chef Don Burrell for providing these great victuals for us on this evening. Tell us what we got in front of us.
All right, so what I made today was is a mixed grain salad with roasted beets, pan-seared bronzino, and a little bit of herb puree.
All right. And again, Dr. Higgins, Napoleon Higgins, author of Mind Matters, Denise Hamilton, the CEO and founder of WatchHerWork.com. Thank you all again for joining us. Grateful for friends, family, fellowship, and the opportunity to build and be better. Let's eat. So while we're digging in, I want to pick up on where we left off. Before we do that, I want to go back over a couple of things that we talked about, right? Being able to get out of your comfort zone, right? Being able to sacrifice some things that may have felt comfortable to you before. A couple of more tips that you guys shared, reiteration.
Well, what I would say is getting out of your comfort zone is, say, it's an example of when you walk. Anytime you walk, you put your foot out and you throw yourself completely off balance. But you catch yourself with that foot, and then you do the second foot and the third foot. Now, realizing that most of us cannot remember when we learned to walk or when we actually walked, not unless you had some sort of accident or injury, now you walk on a regular basis. So when you look at persons such as so powerful as yourself, on how do you make that next step? Well, you made the next step because you're so used to making that step. But how we grow ourselves is how do we take those steps that we're uncomfortable doing? Now we learn a different walk, we learn a different dance, and we've got to be of the mindset that we're willing to learn something new. Are we willing to go to new places, listen to different thoughts, learn a new language, learn how to dance, speak to people that you haven't spoken to before, and be influenced by them? And that's how you expand your reach and what your possibilities are.
Denise, give us
And I'll add to that, just remember to protect your magic. I don't watch The Bachelor. I don't need that in my spirit. 20 women clawing, dressing to the nines, gathered around one man, he's kissing them all every other night. Like, why do we watch what you consume? Right? We're consuming healthy, good food today because that's what's going to fuel our bodies.
We are.
I plan to.
Come on.
Let me finish this point. But we have to watch what we consume, what we take in. I don't read Women's Health. I read Men's Health. Because the cover of Men's Health says things like, set your goals, build muscle, achieve your dreams. You know what it says on the cover of Women's Health? Your best butt ever. Sexiest swimsuits. Like, I don't need that in my spirit. Some of us need to reduce our consumption of noise. You asked about racism and sexism, the divisiveness that we have right now. Some of us need to reduce our consumption. Bring our best self to the world, and we can't do that because our best self is full of noise, right? Turn down the volume.
Turn the volume down.
And control what you consume, and you'll be a better person. You can't help but be a better person. It's input, throughput, output. What's your input? Take a look at it.
Bean, Don, Chef Don, y'all have any feedback?
No, I'm taking so many mental notes. I'm taking so many mental notes. But no, I don't have any feedback. I'm really just kind of taking in everything that you're saying, and it was a lot of things that. One thing you said, like, protecting your magic and naming it and reclaiming it and things of that nature. That's something I truly believe in. I just had never really heard it that way, and it's something that I can definitely carry and share with others. So thank you for that.
And I got to tell you, it's something that I can relate to. I've been in business for 17 years. People automatically assume a certain demeanor or a certain level of belief, and yes, there's truth to that. But my first 3 or 4 years of business, what liberated me was I was sitting in one of those seats right over there. It was about midnight. Nobody was in here. And I would go through this cycle of beating myself up over what hasn't happened and the fear of what was about to happen. Because in the food business, January, February, March tends to be a painful part of the business. And I would always ponder, how in the hell am I going to get through this cycle? And then one day, I'm sitting in here listening to John Coltrane, and all of a sudden it just hits me. The same way you've gotten through it the last 3 years.
Wow.
Right? And I had neglected myself from rewarding myself for the success that we had and how I was able to fight those battles. So I appreciate and applaud you for sharing that. And I would encourage you to, take the advice and take the W. What about you, Chef Don?
Yeah, something that you just said spoke to me. It's like rewarding yourself for the small victories. It's really important to, as you go, like, be the little engine that could, like, I think I can. Oh, I did that. It's really important to be your best cheerleader when you're looking to better yourself.
Man, and speaking of cheerleader, I want to do a dance and a jump.
It's delicious.
Because this right here, man, I'm sorry for being rude, y'all, but this. And I'm going to save some beats for you. All right, so let's jump into something that I thought was important to talk about, but not really talk about the bigger issue. You talk about what you take in, and quite obviously, a lot of people over the past couple of days have been taking in, right, the R, the story that's been all over the media. And I don't want to talk about that issue, but what I want to talk about is what I've seen as a result of it. I've seen our brothers and sisters digging their heel in with their argument, ready to combat and confront and go to battle on their beliefs, unready to hear the perspective from the other person, not knowing that each of these positions is coming out of experience and out of pain. So when we're talking about being our best self, when we talk about moving into this season of newness, of refresh, how do we do that and get around this lack of willingness to hear? I can never tell you what it's like to be a female or a black female. Just like an African American female can't describe the pain or the pleasure or the existence of an African American male. How do we move into a point where we want to hear one another, understanding that I may not agree or be able to feel your perspective, but I'm respectful enough to hear you out?
You know, it's...
You understand what
I do. It's a difficult conversation. And let me tell you what makes it difficult. You don't get to have an opinion about my story.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
Yeah. Right? That sometimes we silence stories. And my story is my story. So if somebody says, well, this happened, well, what about this? Well, wait a minute. I just told you my story. We didn't even spend a second to talk about my story. I don't feel heard. I don't feel validated. And more importantly, I got 20 years of not feeling heard and not feeling validated. So I think that creates an anger and a resistance. So with all due respect, there's been a healthy disrespect as we've discussed these issues. That, it doesn't happen to you. That means, does it really happen? And it's like, yeah, it really happens because I said it happened, and she said it happened, and she said it happened, and she said it happened. How many women does it take? Right? How many women does it take? Larry Nassar molested 150-something girls. How many does it take before our voices count, our stories matter, and something is done about it? And when there's a rush to defend, when there's a rush to minimize, when there's a rush to dismiss, remember, this isn't the only story.
That's right.
We all have a lot of stories. So if you won't even hear this one and you got it on videotape, how are you going to hear mine?
Let me ask you this, and I want you to know I heard you. But I do want to invite this into the conversation. And I had to share this with me. Every response, be it proactive or a response, every statement is not an attempt to minimize.
True.
Right? Because you mentioned your story, but the person on the opposite side has a story as well. And when they're speaking out, they're speaking from the standpoint. I had a beautiful conversation with one of our producers, and we saw it from two different ways. And we walked away understanding what each other was trying to communicate, but it boiled down to, she has a different story, I have a different story, so we have different perspectives. So how do we move to embracing those different perspectives without minimizing their story?
What I would say is, as the saying goes, God gave us one mouth and two ears. And the problem that we've gotten to in our discussion as of late, and I would say in the last 2 years, maybe 5 years, is that if you say one thing that I disagree with, then obviously you're wrong and you are a X, Y, and Z. So we've gotten to this point where now we can't have open dialogue and allow a person to work through their maybe racist, sexist, gender ideas because they're fearful of saying the wrong thing, and therefore they say nothing. So you have people walk into a discussion where everybody's on defense. Really, when you go back and watch television from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and what could be said and what was allowed, and then you could disagree and then not disagree or whatever it may be, but you didn't destroy the other person because they said one wrong thing out of context with the lack of knowledge and information. As you see what's going on with Kevin Hart, and you see it with multiple entertainers, something you said from 10 years ago when you were the wrong perspective, realize that the perspective has changed over the last 10, 15 years. But we've got this tweet, we've got this saying, we've got the radio, we've got television, we've got Facebook, where you said X, Y, and Z. So therefore, everything else that you say behind that is now dismissed.
And realizing that what may have been said was a product of what society had deemed acceptable.
Acceptable
Right.
at the particular time.
Right.
Because I had to go back and read what did Kevin Hart say.
Right.
And some things that he said I would hear in the black community on a regular basis, and it wasn't perceived as being negative from those who were saying it. But once the popularity of the term took off,
Right.
and then it hit the mainstream, and he hit mainstream, all of it, now that is an inappropriate saying. Well, amongst us, it was okay to say at the time, but obviously that has now changed. So what was allowed to be said? I mean, you look at even some of the stories of, let's say, a popular R&B singer.
Right.
That was another R&B singer who we listened to a lot of their music, who's passed away, who was known to do the same things. Doesn't make it right now, doesn't make it right then. But we've got to look at what is the background that led to that behavior, and then how do we purge that outside in our community. But that has to come with open dialogue where people can have the freedom to maybe say it wrong so that you can get them right. Realizing that you can expand your mind by holding that conversation, and by you speaking it to the person, they are forever changed. When you have conversations, it's like a phone. You download the information. Your truth, you told me your truth. Now your truth is in my head for the rest of my life. But if we can't have that conversation, I can't hear your truth, nor can you hear mine.
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's important in that we are deliberate in trying to hear one another. And I think that I believe goes both ways. As you started off saying your story, I think that being willing to embrace the other person's story is equally as important. And I don't think that we can make any progress if we don't approach it that way. Hey, man, that's our time. I want to thank Dr. Higgins. I want to thank Denise, Chef Bean, for your lyrical genius. I got Chef Bean. You see, I did.
That's a good play on words.
Bean the poet.
Yeah.
Chef Don. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for this delicious food. Thank you for the food that you've provided through poetry.
There it is.
We appreciate it. And we're going to come back with our last bite. Thank y'all for joining us. Hashtag Fish, Grits, and Politics. Politics with a K. Share, like, peace.
Come see me, Keith Brown, the Cadillac Man, 2 minutes south of the Beltway 8, at Ron Carter Cadillac Clear Lake. Call me, Keith Brown, at 1-800-NEW-CADDY. 1-800-NEW-CADDY. Shop, click, drive, RonCarterCadillac.com.
When it comes to protecting yourself and your partners, all the information out there can be overwhelming. Visit our website. We are a free and confidential service, striving to help you stay informed and stay notified. We are committed to a healthy Houston.
The Breakfast Club, America's best breakfast. Hey, that's our show. That's our time. I want to thank our guests for joining us. I want to thank Dr. Napoleon Higgins, author of Mind Matters. You can find his book at Amazon.com. Also want to thank Denise Hamilton, the CEO and founder of Watch Her Work. You can check her out at watchherwork.com. And I want to thank our sponsors, Ron Carter Cadillac, City of Houston Health Department. Don't forget to share this, Fish, Grits, and Politics, that's Politics with a K, on Facebook. So Doc gave you his insight, and Denise gave you hers. I'll share you a little bit of mine with you in this last bite. Being in the restaurant business, there's something that I've witnessed quite a few times. I've seen people who come into the restaurant and they are a little hesitant to dine by themselves. I'll see someone, You getting it to go? Yes, I'm getting it to go. I said, why you not staying with us? I don't want to eat by myself. And I would ask them, why do they not want to eat by themselves? And they said, I don't want to be alone. And I would then encourage them, because that's an opportunity for self-love. So for those of you who are out there who say, I can't eat by myself, I can't go to the movies by myself, I can't be with me, I want to invite you to graduate to a greater level of self-love by learning to be with yourself, taking yourself out to dinner, taking yourself out to the movies, taking yourself out on a long walk at the park after dark. No, I'm just playing. But it's very important that you grow your self-love. There's a scripture in the Book of Faith that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. We started the show about talking about being our best selves, not for ourselves, but for others as well. And if the scripture says, love your neighbor as yourself, the ability to love others is hinged to how much you have to love yourself. So I would encourage you to increase your self-love, work on being with you more, work on loving you more, work on talking to you more. And in that way, you can be the best you, encouraging others to be the best that they can be, and we can build a better world. Peace.
Fish, grits, and politics sure sound good to me. We can still break bread together even if you don't really agree. Oh, yes. So come on in and take a seat. Oh, yes. Sit back and grab something to eat. Oh, yes. Listen up, we got something to teach. My guest is